Hello. It's been quite some time since I've made a proper, informative Mega Man Star Force 2 video. I believe the last one was the drift tutorial. But today, just a normal tier list, just a just a generic tier list fueled by years, hours of experience in this game with the debut of the Legacy Collection and the tournament that's gonna happen sometime after I post this video. I want there to be a clear line in the sand of what is good and what is just not good. I'm going to cover the cards as best as I can. Presumably in post, I will provide a ton of visual examples so you know what a card looks like when it's like doing its thing or just how it looks, how it performs, and yeah, I think that's it. Let's jump in. So let's go over the tiers. I didn't add anything special. I just put the band on top because probably should do that. Band, it's not allowed. S tier. For S tier, this is the obvious. These cards may very well be 50, 60% of your folder, maybe even more if you max out on the duplicates. These cards just do everything better than other similar options, and it's not really close. For A rank, these are the ones that are almost at the pinnacle. Depending on your needs, they could go up, they could go down. But these things are so good that no one's gonna side eye. These cards aren't the best, they're not on the top. B tier is it's where the whimsy comes up in your construction. Cards in B, some of them are like weirdos. They're gonna do things that just don't exist in A or S. These cards can really just they can go up to A or S depending on what you're trying to go for, or they immediately go into C or into the dumpster, into D tier. It's it's very preference, very build centric for B tier. Like these cards, definitely the wild cards. That's kind of why they're in the middle of the pack. C tier is it's either the card cooks depending on what your folder is doing, or it's D. If it's in C tier, it's down there for a reason. It needs too much help, and if the folder can't supply that help, it just should be in D. And then D tier is that this card's unplayable. Like this card is bad. These are the cards you use when you're having fun with the homies. You've had a few drinks, whatever. You don't care about winning. You're just trying to be a silly dude. All right, jumping right in, and we're starting out strong. We're starting with Gemini Thunder. Uh, More or less second best Giga in the entire game, hands down. 400 damage is a good baseline. It's rather low for the Giga scale. Most Gigas will go above 400. Thunder basically can't miss. There's two dead zones on it. If you do lock on attacks on the side, it will miss. Otherwise, 400 damage goes through invis. If you can pull people into the center, Gemini Thunder is just skyrockets in value because it has the huge paralysis duration if you hit someone in the center. This is it's usually one of the most brutal things that I'm it's got to be the most brutal thing that could happen in a game is just oh I'm in the center, I'm hit by thunder. So you're not just taking 400, you're taking almost 200 damage from Buster, and then they're just guaranteed to land like the next card. They could use a horrible card after Thunder, and Thunder just lasts so long that it's going to hit. And Thunder occupies this weird spot where it's actually super healthy for the game because there's so few ways to reliably go through Invis. The only reliable source, like outside of Thunder, is Voltaguy, which, you know, it's a standard card, but it's an elemental standard card, so trap stops it. So Invis, you know, you get away scot free. And then there's you play Ninja and you charge a card. But if you're not Ninja, you're limited to Voltaguy. But Voltaguy is very easy to stop. So Thunder adds another notch to dealing with Invis, since now you need two traps to make sure you're safe during Invis. Thunder gets so many brownie points for just being another way to deal with Invis. Invis just it shuts down so much of the offense of this game, which is really weird that they didn't provide like very good ways of dealing with it. But Rogue Brave. This might be a surprise to some people. B. This card's okay. This is middle of the pack. What's the floor for this card? Used in the middle, does 450. If you aim it, it's unblockable. Not really asking too much here. It's a Giga that does a crap ton of damage and is almost and at times will just do the damage even if your opponent's being responsible. I would never use it outside of Rogue because like in Rogue it's just like 500 damage. It's B tier, it's fine. Melee Kick, getting C tier. Melee Kick and MT Magic are in this weird zone where the card does absolutely nothing and it requires too much work and investment. You're like your brothers, your main folder, how your opponent's playing. Like there's so many factors that go into how good this card ends up being. But when it's combined with normal 50, which I'll get to it, it's like, I'm gonna skip ahead. Hold on. Melee Kick and MT Magic are super high risk because you have to aim them, otherwise they do nothing, and you need to have support for them. But if you connect them with normal plus 50, which is that's how you run the folder. You'll use normal 50 as your favorited card, so you can always put it on the end of your MT Magic or Melee Kick, and then your opponent is stuck because of something. If you connect normal plus 50 on one of these two cards, mostly it's Melee, they just melt. Like they're probably just dead. Like Melee and plus 50, that's like what 1600 damage. Hold on. Yeah, Melee plus 50 is 1680 damage. Like yeah, you can melt people with just those, but you're throwing away like all of the damage that leads up to that point because these cards have to rot in your hand. It's not like, oh, I got a paralysis. I used X card. It does this much damage. It's like, no, I got the paralysis, and then I have to string together these three cards that were in my hand at the exact same time, and my opponent didn't tribe out to move out of the way, and all these other Christmas Land scenarios. This combo just ends the game when it works. That's why I can't put it in D tier. With a good, honest heart, can't put it in D tier. It is definitely too strong to be playing with the trash, but it's way too inconsistent to ever considering putting it up top. And this is just factoring the million, the 50 situation. MT Magic it's just not worth it. The only reason you're using MT is because you're running a plus 50 folder, and that perfectly slots it into C, where there's a bunch of 2-3 card combinations / engine whatever's, and that's just why it's here. It's not good. It's playable. It's not good. Poison Pharaoh. Oh yeah, that's bad. So this thing sits on the board for 7 to 10 business days, and then your opponent drains. I believe it's like 620 or 630 HP before the Pharaoh kills itself. You can do like 600 damage with like a grass burn combo. You don't need a Pharaoh to sit on the board that can just die to a bunch of these Gigas. A bunch of Gigas actually hit the far 3x3, and the Pharaoh will just die, and you get nothing out of it. It's just bad. Please don't do it. Avalanche, my dude. A. Not a very difficult A. Avalanche, I'm going to put the other one here. Hold on, where is it? Pegasus. Pegasus Magic and Avalanche are interchangeable freeze and Giga cards. They both basically don't miss. Pegasus can miss. It only attacks the far 3x3. If your opponent uses a lock on attack, Pegasus will just miss. Avalanche sweeps the entire board. You can't get away from it. The trade-off is that Avalanche has 80 power. So if your opponent just has Aura, your Giga doesn't even do anything. And then if Pegasus hits the Aura, it just trades with it. Cool, my card, your card. We're good to go. I'm not really going to complain. You had the answer. That's cool. That's fine. But where Avalanche shines is it has ways that it outshines Pegasus. But I'm not going to rank it higher or lower because it has access to that. I'd like to put that out there. Pegasus is always one hit, so Aura will always be, it'll always be a trade. Avalanche loses to Aura 9 out of 10 times. But if you go into King, which is accessible no matter what your build is, if you reach King, you're going through Aura and you're still freezing for a bunch of damage after the fact. Like just talking ceiling versus floor, this is why Avalanche can be better. Completely depends on your needs, depends on your build. Then there's also this thing down here. Aqua 30. Talk about that later. But it's floor versus ceiling. If you're not even looking at that, they're both functionally the same. If you're trying to go for king, Avalanche. If you don't really care what goes on and you just want to make sure you have a card that you can rely on, Pegasus is your dude. That's it. Very simple. Ox Tackle. That's a C. It's a fire unblockable. So if your opponent has grass panels, they're going to take 1,000 damage and they can't block. The problem is you have to aim this card. Aiming Gigas it's really bad because you won't always have the ability to do that. Break Time Bomb. Another thing that sits there and does absolutely nothing while your opponent is allowed to play the game. This is also not good. 600 unblockable damage, very good. Having to wait 3 seconds for your opponent to just destroy it, not good. Phantom Slash. B. This is Walmart Dragon Sky. We'll go into that when we get there. He goes 3 panels ahead, swirls his cape, hits you a bunch of times. It's windy. Like, if you just wanted a Giga that's going to get the job done, like, this is there. The problem is there's just so much better options within the S and A tier. You're probably never going to get to this. Gorgonite. That's a C. Basically the exact same boat as Ox Tackle. You have to aim it, and the trade-off is Gorgonite goes through Invis, where Ox Tackle goes through Shields. Gorgonite doesn't cause flashing, very notable, being a wood card, so it's just like 500, whatever it is, 510, 520, something like that. And then they don't enter flashing. There's not much reason to use this card. You're using it because you like Ophi, because you like Luna. Like, I hear you, boss, but it's not that good. Is it better than the stuff in D tier? Yes. Torrent Wave. It's C tier. Let's not let's not rain on it too hard. Torrent Wave attacks the far 3x3 with a 400 damage water attack. It progresses forward, so if there are any obstacles in the 6 panels in front of the last row, it will scoop them up and hit your opponent on the way there. If Torrent Wave does not grab objects, it is just 400 water damage, which you can block. If it grabs any objects, each object increases Torrent Wave's power by 200 and makes it unblockable. So if it eats 1 object, 600 unblockable water damage. If it eats 2, 800. It's probably better than the other cards in this tier by virtue of you don't have to aim it. Even if you don't even care about anything, this card's floor is, I do 400. Which is honestly not that bad, but it doesn't do anything after that, which is why I'm not going to put it in B tier. Buster Max, I'm sorry, Salad. It was a good time, but man, this card sucks. This card's ass. It's so bad. Buster Max sets your stats to 10-5-5. Sounds good. Except within the power-up data world that we play in, the OHGA DTR code gives us 555. So using a Giga to push us to 10-5-5, not exactly worth it. And this is nonsense. This card effect is not even permanent. You're using a Giga to deal 0 damage. It doesn't do anything on activation. It just gives your opponent a window to respond and like honk you with something even better than Buster Max, which is, that's a lot of cards. Buster Max is super funny to play with when no one's giving a shit. I think that, the temporary part kills it, like, immediately. And we get to our first banned card, Darkness Hole. This card says when your opponent is at 500 HP or less, they lose the game. Yep, that's it. That's what it does. Your opponent must respond and kill you during the chain, otherwise Darkness Hole just says game over. There's nothing you can do. It's in a highly uninteractive card, and this is why it got pushed for the ban back in the day. Hopefully the clip that I add to this video will show you how stupid it is. Moving on, Flying Impact. That's a B. That's a B. So there's a specific range. I don't know if it has an actual name. I've just been calling it forever. Calling it the carpet range, which is if you are in the left or in the middle, this card attacks the left and the middle columns completely. If you're on the right, then it attacks the right and the middle completely. This is the most powerful of all of the carpet range cards. It's a very nice and clean 500 damage unblockable. And it's wood. This is just like okay. And I think that's fine. Like Road Break doesn't miss if you use it in the center, but it causes flashing, and Anti-Sword works on it. Flying Impact, you just go Screech, Bird, and they take 500. But Flying Impact's alright. I like it a lot. It's really silly. Dark Phantom, oh boy. Uh, this is yep, it's in D. It is definitely one of the worst mega cards. There's a specific handful of megas which they don't spawn where you are. They spawn on the square in front of you. Phantom is one of these cards, and this is actually what puts them all the way down here. One of the things you can do when you're on the defense, you block an attack, like point blank range, like you block, I don't know, you block a slash. When your shield gets hit, you are fully actionable. You can parry out and immediately do anything. So having cards that are good on the crackback are important. Usually, you're just going to use your own Elect Slash. Some megas will work on the parry crackback. Phantom, unfortunately, doesn't have this since he spawns in front of you, so it just whiffs completely. Another thing, you must aim Phantom. So this is a mega that you can't use on crackback, and you have to aim it. What does it do when you aim it? Well, it does 300 damage. That's it. That's all it does. It does 300 damage, and it pulls people out of invis. It's a non-flashing null card that pulls people out of invis. He grabs you. This is really bad. Like, this is horrible. This card is not good. Yeti Blizzard. So I didn't put any pluses or minuses in the tiers because I didn't want to make too much of a differentiation. If I could split a card in half and put it in A and B at the same time, it's Yeti Blizzard. I'll not rating these in any particular order, but that's exactly where he would be. It's just like right there. Because Heart of Hearts, that's where he belongs. But if we're gonna be professional, I'm putting him in B. So Yeti causes a bunch of snowballs to fall. One of them is guaranteed to hit, and then the ones after that are random, so your opponent could get hit twice. He does 200 damage. He goes through Holy Aura. Very good for a mega. And then if you're lucky, he's going to hit a second time. The problem is, it's random. There's no way to control if that second ball is going to hit. If you're in a situation where you need more than just Holy Aura removal, you could have just used one of the other like really good megas. You could have used the standard card. I don't think it's bad. B is a way safer bet on where to rank him than an A. But he's not bad. He's not bad. By no means is he bad. Rogue. This card's ass. This card is... I think he's in an unfortunate circumstance. It's a card that doesn't have 100 power. So it gets, gets no diffs by aura. And if you want to increase its damage, well, why are we just not using another card instead of doing that? Moving on, Plessy. That's a C. So, Plessy shows up, attacks the opponent for 300 water damage. And that's it. That's it. If you're using freeze, Plessy's probably your dude. 300's a lot of damage. Doesn't miss. Auto target. That's good. Other than that, no real utility. Only useful in freeze folders. That's exactly why you're in C, because you're trying to do silly combos. Terra Condor. This is gonna scare some fucking people right now. You ready? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's in B. Right next to the Giga. I didn't know what this thing was for until I just was doing a bunch of testing. As you should. If you think I'm full of it, play a card out. Maybe it vibes with you a lot better than it did with me, and there's like some sauce that I couldn't think of. But this is good. So it attacks down the rows according to where you're standing. So if you're in the middle, it attacks all the rows. If you're on the side, it's carpet. The missiles are windy. So if your opponent they're sitting on an aura, you're like, okay, well, here, hold this. The missile's going to hit, and then they're going to take, I think, 170 after that. The missiles are 85 each, I think. Yeah. This card is just good. I recently tried it in one of my more serious folders, and it just feels really good. I think one of the best parts is if all you're looking for is like a reliable dimmer that can like go through aura, maybe it'll put a little more damage on. There's so few cards that do what this thing does. I would recommend giving it a try. Hollow. Oh boy, that's a card. This is this might be contentious. I'm pretty sure some people thought I was going to put him in S tier. So Hollow is most likely the best card in the best mega in the A because of what he does. Hollow is also one of the exceptions within the mega series where you could just use normal and EX because there's normal and EX do 100 damage at a baseline, so they'll break aura. But on top of that, all versions of Hollow will leave behind paralysis panels as like ways to combo after the fact. This is crazy. There's only two megas that do this, and for some reason, none of the gigas do this, where they leave behind something else for you to play with. Your opponent could invis Hollow, you don't even care. You set up for Thunder, you set up for Voltigai, you set up for like literally anything else. Hollow is just so good. But if I'm praising it, why is it an A tier? I think the punishment of getting Hollow double crossed is super tainting where I put this guy on the list. Hollow is very good. Not gonna take that from him. Very good. Taurus Fire. See, that's a quick one. So there are multiple fire megas that you're going to use over grass for maximum damage. Apollo Flame and Leo Kingdom. Apollo Flame you can have two. Leo you have one. The problem with Taurus is that it just does less damage than those. Like Apollo will do 700, Leo will do 8, and then Taurus is just like I do 560. I think he's 280. He just does so much less damage. If you wanted to use them interchangeably, like if you didn't want to use Apollo because Apollo can miss, Apollo Flame can miss. If you don't want to deal with that, slot in Taurus. That's it. Taurus doesn't miss. Unless your opponent is using a lock on attack, in which case I'm sorry. But Taurus doesn't miss. That's like the really big damage trade off. But it's like 500 to 700, you're going to notice that 200. I guarantee it. But Taurus is like, okay. He's only in C just because the other options are better. Harp Note, huh? Yeah, Harp Note's in C. This is it's another mega that you have to aim. However, I know, dark Phantom vibes. If you aim Harp Note, unblockable, and she paralyzes. Doesn't do a bunch of damage. Does like what, 260 or something like that. But you have to aim, and if you miss the aim, thankfully this man, I wish more cards were actually like Harp Note. Harp Note goes, hey, if you aim, I'm better, but if you don't aim, I function. The problem is the function part is like, well, I hit him for 150 damage, and then it doesn't paralyze. If she did not have if she did not have the 150 backup damage, if she missed, she's an easy D tier. Like this, she's not good. But being a null card, this gives her access to normal 50. Just another way to output your damage. But Harp Note is basically Gemini Spark at home. She's not great. She's playable. And playable puts you in C tier. Alright, Alfie. B tier. Alfie next to Flying Impact is quite perfect. She is also carpet range. So she will attack left and middle if in the left in the middle, and the right in the middle if on the right. Also unblockable, leaves behind poison panels. This is important. So much like Hollow, Hollow misses, doesn't matter, leaves behind P panels. Offie misses, doesn't matter, leaves behind poison. However, she is also 260 power. She's going to break Holy Aura no matter what. And then after that, she's going to leave behind poison and take away the Holy Panel. Very similar vein as Hollow. The only thing is, she has a chance to miss. Hollow doesn't have a chance to miss. If she couldn't miss, put her in A tier. Also, being a wood card doesn't cause flashing. Yeah. No flashing. Unblockable. Goes through Holy Aura. Leaves behind poison panels. It's good. It's solid. Also, her lesser versions are fine. Gemini Spark. Ooh, hot dog. This is the best mega in the game by a pretty wide margin. First attack, if you aim it, the second attack becomes unblockable because he fires an unblockable rocket fist, it blows up the shield, and then, you slash. If you don't aim the fist, the slash is still an auto aim. It's basically, I'm trying to. If you do not aim the fist whatsoever, Gemini Spark at a baseline is a lower damage Proto Man. There's no real downside to this. It's just you press the button, you sacrifice half the damage of the card, they get hit by a paralyzing Proto Man. If both hits connect, 320 damage. This is without Zerker. This is 320 damage from a Mega. And it paralyzes. Or you could just sacrifice half of the card's damage and say, no, you're paralyzed. This neutral exchange is now mine. I'm going to do whatever I want. This card is excellent for punishing passive opponents. It's great for chains. This almost does everything. This card's insane. And you can use the normal and EX versions just fine, because the normal version is 70 power, so Zerker puts it to 90. If you're an attack panel enjoyer, for some reason, now the card does 100. So now it still goes through Aura. EX version goes through Aura just because of Zerker. And then if you're really feeling spicy, you can use Elect 30, and now Gemini Spark with Zerker goes through Holy Aura. This card's a house. If this is not in your main, it is either on your roulettes or you're brewing something nasty. Because this card is insane. Absolutely bonkers. Thankfully, it's hit by 2 traps because it consists of a sword card. Anti-sword hits it, so the card is thankfully pinned down with traps to not be completely broken. But zero doubt in my mind, this is the best Mega card in the game. Cancer Bubble, A. If there's obstacles, rest in peace, Crab Guy. If there's no obstacles, Cancer's insane. 200 power, goes through Holy Aura, and just says, you're in a bubble. Get ready to take double damage from, I don't know, most of the best cards in the game are elect cards. So the only issue is the whole obstacle thing. That just really sucks, man. Not much to say about Cancelable. Very simple. He shows up, he does a life sword of water on the nearest object or person, and then he puts him in a bubble. So, very simple. Kung Fu Kid. You're gonna go into C tier. So this happens a lot with Megas and Gigas, where the properties of the boss don't come over to the card. So Kung Fu Kid shows up, punches forward once, and then he spawns clones that punch 3 more times. So if you aim it, he hits 4 times. If you don't aim it, he hits 3 times. If there's grass on the board, he grows, and he does 5. That's right, 5. Not 10, not 20. 5 more damage per each grass tile that's on the board when you summon him. The boss version becomes unblockable when this happens. We lose that. All he does is get a little bit more damage, and it's not even that much. There's better things to be doing with your wood panels. Play Grass Burn. Like, using your grass to create double damage situations that are like in real time, so you can't even respond to them. Or using the Storm card, which just naturally does more damage, and you don't have to aim it, and naturally goes through Aura. Like, Kung Fu Kid is playable, but it is not good. Like, maybe you could use, if you're using the grenades or the stages, you could probably use him, but there are definitely better things to do with your wood panels. Auriga and Apollo Flame. We'll just do them at the same time. Both of these cards have basically the same play. If you're standing in the middle, the entire board gets hit. If you're on the sides, they're carpets. There you go. The general cannot be blocked. This is very important because he's 300 damage, which is a crap ton of damage for an attack that you just cannot block. And then Apollo is 350. You can block it, but it's fire. So 700 over grass is crazy. For a Mega, 700? That's really good. So for Grass Burn, Apollo's going to be your main payoff because you can have 2. Otherwise, I would say Leo. We'll get to Leo in a while. Leo's quite far down the list, actually. Never mind. Arga and Leo comfortably in B tier. Their damage is just extremely high. They basically don't miss. I mean, if you're paralyzed, like, that your opponent can move out of the way. Like, that really sucks. But For the most part, you can stand in the middle, you jam General, you see what happens. Apollo, you wait until they stop moving, whatever. You put grass, wait for the mistake, clock them for 7, or honestly, you just throw it out for 350. 350 is a lot of damage. Oh, all right, standards. Here's where we're gonna break some hearts of the PvE. The entirety of the Cannon series. The card is slow. It offers absolutely nothing. The star card of the most powerful version, it still doesn't even break 200 damage. Does it splash damage off of a obstacle? Yes, but card's not good. Card is not good. Plasma Gun 3, however. Plasma Gun, my beloved. So once we enter Plasma Gun level 3, with star card breaks 100, immediately, like, in contention for not complete and utter dog shit. The paralysis on this is very long, just under Thunder's. For some godforsaken reason, the paralysis on this is very long. The problem is it's a gun card, like every other gun card in the history of BN, Star Force, whatever. You have to aim it, and you don't really get a second chance. This card is often win more, like you're already up, or you're using it because of confidence. Plasma Gun is okay. Yeah, C is just it's where it belongs. It's definitely not dog shit, but it's not good enough to go into B tier, which would let you, which is like the justification that oh you could put it almost anywhere if you have a good enough reason. No, it's in C tier. It's not actually that good. Air Spreader. So imagine H Burst, except they made it one card, and then they made the card do no damage. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Card's bad. Radar Missile. This card is bad. So if you read the description for both of the missile cards, they go, is your opponent this? Yes. Cool. Fire a reactable, blockable missile. That's it. Very bad. Sink Hook. I mean, if we could fight multiple Megamens at the same time, this might do something. This hits one thing and it hits a bunch of other things. Since this is in Star Force 3, this card does absolutely nothing. Moving on. Grenade. Big Grenade doesn't exist in Star Force 2. This is just, I believe it's Energy Bomb in Battle Network, where like it does the arc and it hits 3 times for like wah damage. Card's not good. Heat Grenade. Shoutouts to Mask for hitting me with Heat Grenade in a very competitive setting. This card doesn't do anything good. It's just a 123x3 fire hit. It doesn't create panels. It's a very slow fire card. It's not good. Wood Grenade and Ice Grenade, however, are solid C tier. These are non-dimming panel creators for wood and ice panels, respectively. And that's good. Because Ice Stage and Grass Stage, it's not that they're bad, but they're giving your opponent a window to counter and honk you with a Mega or Giga before you get set up. And if you spend your dimmer to get set up and they honk you with something that, paralyzes you or whatever, God forbid, bubbles, then they get to have their turn while you can't even use the panels you set up. Given Wood Grenade and Ice Grenade are somewhat longer animations than people would like, they don't stop time, and that has its own merits over using it over the stage. Sword, Wide Sword, Long Sword. I should have just put one of these. They're cards you start out with in the game. They have no proper function in PvP because the value just isn't there. 80 damage with no other effect. It's just not worth it. So they go down here. Silver Meteor. Silver Meteor sends 9 meteors at your opponent's 3x3 if the panels are normal. The best way to utilize this is to use a stage like Wood, Ice, Paralysis, use up one of those panels, and then while your opponent is still on that fresh, empty panel, you use Silver Meteor. So this tosses all 9 onto that one open panel. You can get some heavy damage out of this, but this whole strat requires you to use stage cards, and that's what puts you in C tier. The damage output of this thing can get pretty silly pretty fast. It also, for some reason, stuns, so if you ever remove your opponent's super armor, all the hits will connect without the 8 of Paralyzed Plus. But overall, this card is pretty clunky, but it has play. Great axe, my beloved. This is a life sword. This is an unblockable life sword, and it does 200 damage. Uh, if you're not using rogue, you're not using this card. Using rogue is a nerf in and of itself, but a 250 unblockable attack with as much range as this thing does, it's not dog shit. It's just okay. Double Stone. This card would be in B tier if it was naturally a white card, because it has so many so many silly applications. But wasting your favorite slots to turn it into a white card so it doesn't break your hand, so you can keep playing the game, it's just too big of a downside. Stone's a good card. You could play it as is, but you're gonna notice the clunk or whatever when it's like, oh man, if only my aura was favorited like it should have been, but instead it had to be D-Stone because the devs didn't figure that out in this game. When a double stone is put into the center, a bunch of cards just stop working because they require access to that panel. So take that as you will. Uh, there's a bunch of other details for double stone, but the big thing is you have to favorite it, or otherwise this card is kind of cheeks, and that is a big enough demerit to drop it from B tier to C tier. It's definitely too good for the D tier though. As much as I was ragging on it, it's solidly in C tier. Guardian, oh boy. Imagine going from the super based Guardian with Evil Eyes and Lightning Strike from Battle Network and going to this actual piece of crap that you can kill with Buster damage. It summons a Moose Soldier. You'll see him when you play the story. If you ever bother doing that, I'm sorry if you do, because Star Force 2 story is really bad. The soldier has a very low amount of HP, maybe like 150 or something. And if you attack it, it swings. There's input commands to make it swing for other reasons, but it can only swing once. And after it does that, it just poofs. Aura, S tier. Every single folder probably using 2 to 3 auras. Being able to shrug off things, great. Being able to respond and shrug off things, great. Aura is not a flashy card. It just offers that amount of defense that doesn't really exist anywhere else. Aura is really good. If you're not using 2 to 3 in your folder, you're a psychopath. Ground Wave. This card's bad. PvE only. I even struggle to say for PvE. My god. As a baseline, it's just not good enough. Mad Vulcan. That's a C tier. Why is it a C tier? This. Mad Vulcan shoots out 12 shots with normal plus 50. That's a lot of damage. Just, you have the P plus the Vulcan. If it's not a normal 50 folder, you are not using Mad Vulcan, and Mad Vulcan immediately drops to D. Scythe D. This card only works with another OK card, and that other OK card has a bunch of other cards that it could be using instead. Scythe takes a long time to come out. It can collide with the opponent. It's a sword, so it trap stops it, and you're forced to use a quote-unquote bad card to even make it function. Scythe is bad. Boo Hat. Boomerang falls from grace. That's what Boo Hat represents. It doesn't change any panels. Its damage is and it has an ungodly casting delay, or card lock, if we're gonna go for Battle Network turns. You Boo Hat, you're not allowed to do anything for like a whole 1 or 2 seconds after that. I'm not sure why that restriction is put on it, but that definitely doesn't help this card. This card is bad. Jet Ski. This card is... There's always a dash attack in Battle Network or Star Force. There always is. It's one of the few ways to gain invulnerability. Like, you actually flash green, and you dash forward, you leave ice panels behind, and then you crash into your opponent. It's bad. Please don't use it. Fire Ring. This card is okay. As far as non-dimming fire cards go, for Saurian to like really say that it can do something, Fire Ring is definitely there. With Star Card, Fire Ring does a lot of damage. It does 100 damage on its own without Saurian, so 300. Fire Ring is literally Fire Yo-Yo. It fires out, goes to the end of the screen, hit, comes back. With Saurian, 390 damage, which is You know, that's a lot of damage for a standard card. If they don't have armor, the yo-yo will fully connect. If you have Paralyzed Plus, good way to get things going. It's just a solid Saurian card. Dance Fire. This card's okay. This is another 2-piece. It shoots 1 fire ahead, and then it hits a 2x3, 3x2 after that. So you can use it as a lock-on. It's very slow. It's reactable. Most likely people are going to block. You could put the attack out, and it keeps you safe from every other lock-on, which is a very niche scenario, but as of recently, I think I've done it twice. My opponent might have been pressing buttons a little bit too much. But what really makes Dance Fire shine is having Area Eater in effect. Because then you don't have to aim it. You just stand in the center, and you just press the button. Now your opponent just can't move. Alternatively, you can do like whistle combos and whatever, but we don't need to talk about it. This card's okay. It does like 200 something damage and doesn't miss when it's supported. So it's okay. Heat Upper. This is not Star Force 3, therefore this card is very bad. This is not an unblockable in this game. It also doesn't remove super armor, so there's no reason to use it because it is so slow. Next card. Kilo Bomb. This card is interesting. You toss a bomb three panels ahead. It's a neutral object, so both players can interact with it. Whoever interacts with it with a fire attack first, whether it's a card or a charge shot, ownership goes to that player. The bomb explodes. It does whatever its damage number is to the entire field. This is okay, but it's part of like a package deal. Like using Kilo Bomb outside of Atom Mine doesn't really exist because this card is just not good. Like overall, like as a one card thing, this doesn't do anything. But it's the ceiling for Kilo Bomb is very good. So, as it should, it ends up in C tier. Chain Bubble, similar to Plasma Gun, it's a gun card. Puts people in the bubble when you shoot them instead of paralyzing. Bubble has a higher ceiling for things, but being a gun card, it's just not reliable. Therefore, it's going to end up at C. Sticky Rain. If you do not know a lot about PvP, you might think this card's crazy. And in PvE, this card is in fact crazy. But that's not where we are. This card is okay. Water attack, auto aim, hit 6 times. If you're doing like free stuff, it doesn't get better than Sticky Rain because it comes out so fast and it doesn't miss. Damage isn't like super low, all things considered. It's alright. Snowball, yeah. So they brought back Blizzard Ball. I believe that's what it's called from Battle Network. It's a standard dimming card that's super combo centric. And it doesn't work unless you're lined up with your opponent and there's obstacles on the board. It's bad. I hope you enjoy the video examples that I'm providing. Like, the card's really funny, but it's so bad. Piranha Kiss. Summon 1 fish per adjacent panel to Mega Man. Piranha Kiss maxes out at like 200 damage. Like, total, from all the fish. You could use Whistle and then like mash out Piranha Kiss to have a 8 fish attack for I guess it's 300, but then you're using Piranha Kiss and then you're using Whistle on that instead of like setting up a combo. It's weird that Piranha Kiss exists in the same game as Sticky Rain. Usually water cards are like okay as a baseline because of like their access to freeze. Piranha Kiss, you can't even freeze with it because the first fish freezes and then all the fish after that break you out. So this card's actually just terrible. Next up on the docket, here it is. It's the best standard in the game, or at least tied. Voltaguy. It is Electric Magnum. And that's really all you need to know about how it functions, because the most important part is that this goes through Invis. And if we recall back to the very first card we talked about, going through Invis is extremely important. Not to be able to do it at all times, but having the option to do so. And Voltaguy being able to exist in up to 4 in your folder, and then multiples on the roulette because it's not a Mega or Giga, that's huge. It doesn't matter that it gets snuffed out by Aura, like that's okay. If your opponent had it, they had it. But the option to be able to slot in a card that basically doesn't miss, you can juice it up. It does hit 3 times. It's electric, so you can use a Berserker to get like really high damage out of it. What really sets Voltic over the edge is having access to any amount of attack plus. So it could be elect plus 30, or it could be attack panel. Because a 100 damage Voltic guy, that's you staring like dead at your opponent saying, I'm starting a combo, and you can't do anything about it. Because a 100 damage Voltic guy, that's, ooh, we're working with basically a broken card at that point. When the king starts using Voltic guy, it's like, oh, I guess I'll just die. I'll just take 300 and whatever damage over and over and over. Uh, that's the dream. So Voltic guy, amazing card, awesome card, very fair too. Like it's crazy that you can be out there, but still being a fair card. Flicker kick. It's been a while since we were in B tier. Flicker kick is solidly B tier. It's just a quick, okay damage destabilizer card. You can toss it from anywhere. It can't miss. With Zerker and Star Card, you're looking at what is it? Yeah, also 270. If your opponent doesn't have armor, they have to eat the other 2 hits because all the hits stun. It's a good card to use when you're in Tribe King. If you're a Zerker Tribe King, you do overslash combos. You paralyze them, you charge Flicker Kick, you throw the overslash, you release the Flicker Kick, the flashing is gone, they're now paralyzed again. If you timed it right, you get another overslash, yada yada. Flicker Kick is okay. You can't like ride or die because, like it's a standard that doesn't do anything on its own, doesn't even go through invis. But again, it's 90 damage. If you have attack panel or elect plus 30, you can just wall break people with it. So that's good. Good card. B tier indeed. Stealth Laser. This is unfortunately it's too playable for D tier. Summons a little plane, shoots your opponent 3 times. I don't remember if you need Star and Zerker, but it does break 100 damage. I think you just need the Star card. Goes through Invis, has an ungodly casting delay on it, but it does go through Invis. This is the like an electric dumbed down version of Jam Machine Gun from Star Force 1. This card's okay. Mummy Hand. The lock on card, it is adjacent range to wherever you are. So it can hit where it doesn't look like it's supposed to. I don't know why it's like this. I'm going to ignore all of that. This card comes out extremely slow, but when it hits, your opponent doesn't play the game for like 2 or 3 seconds. The reward is insane. So can't justifiably put it in D, but you're not using Mummy Hand in normal folders. You're really just going for only I get to play the game. You're trying to put your opponent in a combo video. Mummy Hand is your guy for that. But if you're just trying to do a good stuff pile, Mummy Hand is probably just gonna miss. Or it's very reactable too. Mop Lance. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. Mop Lance's Hero Sword. 3 squares ahead. If you use Area Eater, you can just press the button and it hits. But it's not a wide sword, so it's really easy to miss. Just it's hard to hit with it normally. If your opponent has free reign, it's basically a 1 square attack when you use your lock on. It's just not good. It is a wood sword standard card, so it's hit by the 2 best traps in the game. It only breaks 200 damage with Star Card and Ninja. And there's a gorillion better things you could be doing with Ninja. Mop Lance is just bad. It causes an HP bug, which is also not good because that doesn't extend to the custom screen in Star Force. So this card's bad. It's funny, but it's bad. Fox Fu. This card sucks. So Fox Fu, to your opponent, it looks like you're standing still with your lock on activated, which means your buster arm is not charging. So normally when it's fully charged, it's a big green bubble. When it's charging or a lock on is activated, which is your buster can't charge in that phase. Your opponent goes, oh, they're trying to use a lock on. I will attack them. And then if you attack the body double, you poof and you hit him with the wood wide sword. Once you've been in the weeds long enough, you're going to be able to see Fox Fu. And as soon as you can do that, this card gets even worse. Also, it is, once again, a wood sword standard card. So it's hit by the 2 best traps in the game. This is a defensive card that makes you explode to defensive cards. Foxwheel is very bad. However, this is a very minuscule, however. If you're frame perfect, you can make it work. If you were to just press A whenever you were blocking, like a real-time attack, then Foxwheel is going to hit people. Otherwise, it's just way too obvious when people are using it. You'll notice it once you play enough, but this card is really bad. Squall, all the way up here in A tier. What the hell's going on? This card is this is the Star Force Tornado. So it's skip the square in front of you, hit the one after that, 8 hits. It's windy. It is copy paste the Tornado from Battle Network, except it's wood, so it gets powered up by Ninja. It's also affected by Spirit Fury, less important. Squall with its star card and Ninja is 500 damage. The standard card, that's windy. That's 500 damage. It's Dragon Sky in the palm of your hand. This card is insane. The problem is everybody has armor in our format, so it just doesn't work without paralysis support. Now, if armor wasn't a thing that was readily available or more or less permanent, it's an easy S tier because this card just does a crap ton of damage. Like this card, this is the nightmares. If you're playing against a ninja, you're always thinking, man, when's the squall gonna happen? Because you know that they're gonna hit you with like a paralyzed card out of absolutely nowhere, because ninja's just able to do that. That's what the card charge lets it do. But it's when the squall comes down, it's like, huh, 500 health. But he didn't use a Mega or a Giga. What's going on? This thing's a menace. This card is justifiably A tier. If armor was not basic on every single player, it's an S tier. But A tier is that's good enough for that. Needle Attack. In a universe where Squall exists, why the hell does this thing exist? This thing is really bad. So it does a life sword of 2 streams of needles that do less damage. Needle Attack is very bad. Carpets. We'll do all 3 of them. So this is where the namesake comes from. Mega Man literally rolls out a carpet. He'll roll out a green carpet, blue carpet, or purple carpet. Leaves behind the corresponding panels. If you're doing poison strats, if you're doing storm strats, these 3 cards are going to be in your folder. And that's pretty much it. They're just good. These are solid panel creating cards. You don't lock on. You actually just press the button and it rolls across the whole field. So very no nonsense. I believe they're stopped by obstacles. Please use your buster on rock cubes if you want to use carpets on your opening turn. But carpets, they're fine. Like, you don't even care how much damage they do. They exist more for the panel creation than anything. Puff Blast. It's a meme. So Puff Blast, you throw a bunch of spike balls. They cover the field. They don't miss. Yada yada. But they're slow. They're reactable. But what Puff Blast is useful for, and I'm saying this very cautiously, there's a chance for something to happen when you use it, and you can't control this chance. So you're gonna either heal, get a barrier, get a small invis, or your next card does double damage. But you can't control that. And if you don't get any effects, you just got this really bad card that is reactable. Very depressing card. Buki. Bye bye. This is not Flower Force 3. Buki is bad. It's a highly reactable lock on attack. Mega Man just swings the fucking Looney Tunes hammer at you. You can't block the hammer. Hammer creates an AoE. So as soon as you see the hammer come out, you sidestep, you block the AoE. Buki is bad. Storms. In case I didn't already say what these do, this card will attack your opponent once each for their corresponding panels. So wood panels, ice panels, poison panels. These cards vary in strength quite drastically. The Elemental Slash series. Here we go. We gotta glaze this thing real quick. Elect Slash is the best real-time card in this game. If anything, it encapsulates how punishing real time can be in Star Force 2. It's a wide sword, so it has good enough range. It's quick enough to catch people slipping, catch people coming out of their shield. With Zerker and Starcard, you're cracking holy auras. The paralysis duration is good. If you ever have a turn where you can connect one of these and you have three, congratulations. The turn is completely yours. Your opponent does not get to play the game. Even though this card is hit by the two best traps, Anti-Sword and Spirit Fury, there is no universe where this does not go in every single folder unless you're just trying to do some meta buster, like hipster sort of build. This thing is way too good to pass up. Useful for chains, useful for moving. You're getting like 100 damage of buster if it ever connects if you don't have anything else going on. This thing's incredible. You could put it on roulettes. It's like, oh, well, if I don't hit my Mega or Giga for lots of damage, I know what Lex Slash has got me. And it's true. Because now you have a white card that has all of these accolades attached to it. Now you could do anything else, and you can have a Lex Slash thrown in there. This thing is so good. There's just no reason to ever not use this, aside from, the aforementioned, haha, I don't want to do it. It's actually so good that I was like, what would happen if I did a Lex Slash only roulettes? As it turns out, that folder works perfectly fine. Because having a Lex Slash every single turn, sometimes two per turn, is really good. And then the other two, just trusting fart. Wood Slash is interesting. There's not much of a reason to use it over Squall, unless you didn't have the removed super armor or paralysis support. I think that's it's an okay argument. The problem is the ceiling of Wood Slash doesn't exist. It just says I do 200 something damage. It's like if it's a holy art, I got you, boss. Otherwise, you're using another lock-on wood card, except this one's affected by one more trap, an anti-sword, versus Squall is just Spirit Fury. And like, I don't know what we're doing here. And it's just kind of there. So C rank is where it goes. Fire Slash, however, this card's amazing. If you don't have one of the mega card follow-ups for Grass Burn, Fire Slash is your dude. Because standard card that just says, hey, take 400 damage quite quickly. It's very hard to argue that. B is a very good spot for Fire Slash. But the other two just, they have a huge drop off to a Lex Slash. Moai Fall. I wasn't always a believer in this card. In fact, I thought it was bad. And then I tried using it as a ninja, and this card's insane. Only, however, with Ninja. Ninja's card charge is not just wood cards. It's every standard offensive card. So when you charge Moai, it's an unblockable invis piercing attack. Moai is just like good. Moai is just a very funny, good card if you're a ninja. Black Hole. It's Darkness Hole, but your opponent needs to already be at death's door. Back then, when Darkness Hole was banned, I was like, can we just put the other ones next to it? Just whatever. But if you want to use the weaker version to kill someone who's already at 100 health, by all means. Nobody cares. Berserk Sword. This is the bread and butter of rogues. Normally it is a really bad auto-hitting sword attack that goes slash, slash, slash for 60 apiece. But in rogue, now you're doing 100, 100, 100, which is quite a bit more damage. Staying in front of your opponent is generally the safest place you can ever be because it has a very high chance of dodging Jiminy Thunder. It dodges the admins, and some cards just don't work when you're point blank. So Berserk Sword, offense, defense, all in one. It is Rogue's best card by a significant margin, with an asterisk exception. We'll talk about it when I get there. Typhoon Dance. This card is good. Where did I put it? Oh yeah, this card's A. This card is a double hit wide sword. Well, it's your entire body, but it doesn't really matter that it's behind you. It's a double hitting, neutral wide sword, no flashing, and it's windy. With paralyzed support, panels, P+, this card's incredible. It's almost a second to Lex Slash. Like, that's how good it is. Yeah, there's like a... I'm trying to remember. It's like 4, 5, or 6 frame difference. Like it's more reactable, but with Paralyzed Plus support, it's almost the same thing. This card's really good. If you have P plus roulettes, which is something trying to get more people to try out, it's pretty good. Having an extra suite of Elect except this one is always wind. So since this is windy, it goes through Holy Order no matter what. Elect requires Zerker, yada yada. So Typhoon Dance, very good. Out of Mind. This is a playable meme. I'm not sure if it could ever hang at like the top, but it does a crap ton of damage. So Out of Mind, similar to Battle Network, randomly chooses a spot in your opponent's field. So for Star Force, it's the far 3x2, which your opponent can't step on the row in front of them so easily. But once you put the mine down, it's either they step on it and it explodes, or you put an obstacle on top of the mine and it explodes. So this is where Double Stone comes in. Double Stone will let you hit that panel in front of your opponent's area very easily. You can throw Kilo Bomb, which will land on Out of Mind, trigger the Out of Mind, the fire will hit the Kilo, both cards will hit the opponent at the exact same time. Out of Mind is another weirdo in that, so it goes through Invis, it's unblockable, and for some reason it is considered a real-time explosion. So if your opponent tries to do something, you can Double Stone in response, land it on the mine, and you can counter them with Out of Mind. Like, I don't know why this card's allowed to do so many things, probably because it's so like clunky and weird. C is where this card belongs. It's definitely not garbage, but it's not good enough for the B tier. So once again, it makes sense. Paralyzed Stage. 3, 2, 1. A. Similar to Hollow, if your opponent has the trap for this, you're gonna feel really, really stupid. But when you get the stage to actually stick, this card's amazing. Definitely the highest risk reward of any standard card. If it works and you're not on a Spirit Fury, your trap is gone, and your opponent now has to be terrified, because the next thing you do just means they don't get to play the game. G-Null, that's a B. Float Shoes is regularly not installed because it doesn't do enough. You guard null, your opponent can't block anymore. They kind of have to hold everything. What puts guard null on the list is it is a stage with 0 element attached to it, which means if you activate it over a trap, the trap won't activate no matter what, and you're going to fully clear the board. Not only is the board clear, but you set yourself up to use your next cards for free. Unless your opponent's a ninja, or they have defense cards in hands, they're getting honked by whatever is in your hand. And G-Null is the only stage that you can run multiples of that is capable of doing this. So even if it doesn't accomplish anything, it clears your board, and that's good. Recovery. Basically, just recover 300. We're not going to talk about the previous versions. Recovery in Battle Network has casting delay. It also has a use delay, which is like you press the button, you don't heal immediately. There's like a brief moment, and then you heal. And then you can't mash out your heals. In Star Force, they completely removed the wait and they removed the startup. So if you ever have a stream of recovers, you can mash them out in like the blink of an eye. Your opponent could go from 1 HP to 900 in like less than a second if they had all 3. And that's way more devastating than it ever could have been in Battle Network, when your HP was low, so healing for 300 like actually did something. If you jump up 900 in Star Force, like out of nowhere, it's like my hand was grabbed with the assumption that I was going to win or do something different. Now my hand's just like, maybe I threw crap away. Recovery it's like okay. And it's kind of why it ends up in B tier. Recovery 300 solid, it's fine. Super Barrier, this card's ass. There is no reason for Super Barrier to be used because it is only 100 HP in this game and we have Aura. The math is pretty simple. Attack panel, B tier. If you were talking to the Zain of several months ago, or years even, I would have put this in D tier. But now I understand. My eyes are opened. So, no matter where you use attack panel, it changes your back row to panels that say, if you use a card on top of me, plus 10 damage. Well, that doesn't sound that good. Like, yeah, it's better than attack plus 10. Who really cares? Well, I was being too narrow in my approach for this card. What makes this good is it's actually used as a panel reformat or panel fixer, whatever it's called in 3 and Battle Network. It just removes your negative panels. Paralyzed panels, they're gone. Trap, gone. And that alone is so valuable. And you can build your folder to capitalize on that plus 10. So if you're in Zerker, Flicker Kick and Voltic Eye with this to make your Voltic, your Flickers into wall breakers, holy moly. This card's good. Like, you need to care like about like what you're going to do with it, because obviously like using it by itself is kind of whatever, and you could just be using like Geno. But this thing has application, and I just never thought of it like at all until I saw it being used, and I was very confused, like why? And then I looked really closely at the screen, like it removed the trap. Genius, genius. So B, where it belongs. Ambush panel creates a panel in front of you when you use an offensive standard card. A little trooper pops out of the hole. It goes pew pew pew. The shots go through invis. That's what it does. For some reason, this card is coded very strangely. So you can put a paralyzed plus on this card. So the trooper's bullets paralyze. But if the bullets hit somebody over P stage, nothing fucking happens. Unfortunately, due to the way that this card works, it spawns in front of you, which is not 2 spaces in front of you, which means if someone uses a trap or a stage, or, well, mostly just a trap, you lose this thing. And if someone uses a stage, you lose this thing. And it only shoots directly in front of you. This thing might have had a chance at playability if it spawned like a row in front of you of soldiers. So at least it couldn't miss. But as it is now, this card's fucking bad. Buster panel. Appears underneath you. If you stand on top of it, your Buster power is double. So it's like Buster Max, but you didn't spend a Giga slot. But now you have to stand on the panel. Yep, it's a card for messing around with the boys. This card is bad. Invis. You know it, you love it, you hate it, yada yada yada. It is the best defense in the entire game. Usually the best defense in the entire game. For those 5 seconds, you tell most of the cards in the game to fuck off. If your opponent doesn't have invis answers, they're running away from you, and that happens a lot more than it needs to. If this is not a 3 of in every folder you're making, we have to talk. Whistle. This card's fucking insane. When you use Whistle, your opponent is pulled directly in front of you. Whistle is windy, so it'll pull aura off at the same time. It is also unblockable. During the duration of Whistle, your opponent cannot be paralyzed. This is thankfully the only instance of status guard in Star Wars 2. However, you can bubble and freeze your opponent once they have reached maximum suck. I could have said that different. This card sets up weird situations. You get a bunch of cards for free after you fire off Whistle, because your opponent just can't move. So there's a bunch of jank follow-ups, like you could chain bubble after Whistle. That was something I did for a while in an old cheese folder. That definitely works. You could use it to lead up into cards that would generally never hit, like Gigas, like Whistle, Ox Tackle, Whistle, Gorgon Eye. You could do stuff like that. The best application of Whistle, I'm pretty sure this is just like in general. At the end of a turn, you whistle. That's it. That's all you have to do. If your opponent tribes, the moment the turn starts, since you whistled at the end of the turn, the suck actually lasts a lot longer than the wind effect. The wind effect is as soon as you blow the whistle, but the vacuum effect is like an entire second's worth. So if you whistle at the end of a turn and your opponent tries to escape the vacuum, they immediately get pulled a second time. What could happen though is if unfortunately there's just not enough data on this. I did it once on accident. I saw a video for it. If you whistle and the perfect frame of suction is there when your opponent tries to tribe, there was actually a window from custom screen to tribe to turn start. The whistle can intervene from exiting the custom screen in between when the tribe on would happen. If it does that, your opponent loses the tribe on. Like, they will skip that animation entirely, and I don't really know how to say it in like a normal way. Their existence gets like fractured. Like their reality is broken. Like nothing makes sense anymore. Like you'll see them doing their idle animation during dimmers. They're gonna get hit by more cards than they normally should. And I think eventually they just become unable to play the game entirely. And this is all because you hit them on like a frame perfect whistle. Whistles can almost just be a win con if you fish for that. The problem is you only have so many turns to try it. Your opponent could just, not try before whistle happens, but whistle is some nonsense. If it did damage or if it actually had like a status component, it could probably be S tier, but A is definitely where it belongs, and it's a good spot for something of its caliber. But like before, if it's an A tier, can move up. Bombalizer, getting D tier. This card does not cook in Star Force 2. This card cooks a little bit in Star Force 3, but that's not where we are. So this card goes here. Obstacles are very bad in 2. Obstacles are not plentiful in 2. Thus, this card is poop. Area Eater. This is by and large true blue. This is C tier. This card plus a bunch of other cards, crazy things happen. Tier shakeups happen. A bunch of cards get better. A bunch of cards even start functioning. We're not going to talk about those because of the ones that start functioning needed Eater in the first place, they're just bad. Eater makes a bunch of cards just hit so you don't have to aim. For some reason, when you use Area Eater, Volticai no longer has to be aimed at all. You just let the duration run out and be very bad manners with it. It's funny. Dance Fire automatically hits, becomes more of a pressuring tool than anything. And also, Area Eater janks the lock-on parameter. So normally, one corner to one corner, one corner to one corner. In the center, those are lock-ons. After one Eater, the diagonals are removed. It doesn't work anymore. After you do a second Eater, the lock-on will fix itself. But Area Eater just turns into like this very weird combo control-y piece. And at the end of the day, it's a white card. If you don't need a second Eater or a third Eater or whatever, you can just burn it. Area Eater is a very fun card to work with, but the stuff that it really cooks with is quite limited in 2. But the stuff that it does cook with is not bad. And that's where I've seen the most success with my Saurian folder. It's using it with Area Eater. So, Area Eater is a fun card. I recommend you try it out with some of the cards that are hanging out in C tier, since those are the ones that it sees the most play with. We're getting into a streak of good ones. Spirit Fury. Not a question in my mind. One of the 2 best traps in the game. Every single elemental standard card, Spirit Fury will stop. That's just what it does. That's why the colors are on the card. If you want to use a plasma gun, if you want to use an ice stage, if you want to use flicker kick, fire slash, elect slash, Volticai, Spirit Fury is like, no, you must take 150 damage instead. Spirit Fury it solves a bunch of problems. The problem is it hits so many things that it may not hit the problem that you need it to solve. But its ability to hit most of the cards that you're going to see that are either the combo pieces or answers is huge. So, Spirit Fury, good enough to be run all by itself just because of how many cards it hits. It does paralyze if it eats elect cards, which is huge. Like your opponent combo starting themselves, that's crazy. Water, same deal. They get frozen. If it's wood, they get confused. Nobody cares. If it's fire, they take 120 fire and they enter flashing. So if you know your opponent's using Spirit Fury, you could just use a fire card on yourself, get a free invis. Anti-Sword, one of the other 2 best traps in the game. Anti-Sword is the oddball, works on every single sword card. It doesn't matter if it's standard, mega, or giga. Anti-Sword goes, no, that's bad, and then he hits you twice. What makes Anti-Sword unique even further is it is the only trap that fully resets your Mega Man's state. If you're paralyzed, bubbled, frozen, if you were doing a lock-on, Anti-Sword stops any of that, resets you to neutral, tosses you over to your opponent, slaps you twice, and then it puts you back standing completely still. So if you can't move, Anti-Sword will free you. If you were doing something, your opponent did something scary, you're now reset to neutral. Quite benevolent of the card to always work, even if you're in a good scenario or a bad scenario. This is what makes Anti-Sword, good. It just does so many things. This is why I specifically use Anti-Sword in my main, which is trying to go king as fast as possible. TLDR, Once you're in king, you can no longer try to relieve yourself of status from your opponent's combos, and you're kind of just stuck, holding everything. But if anti-sword was put down before that, odds are your opponent can't keep a sustained combo without using any form of sword card, and the moment they do it, you're free and you're back in it. This is why anti-sword is a special snowflake, but still does everything you need it to do. Poison apple sucks. Glad we got that out of the way. Recovery it's not rampant enough. It just isn't. Like, yeah, it causes an HP bug. They take damage equal to the healing card. But why didn't we just use a card that, like, hit them even harder, There's no role equivalent in Star Force. All the healing is in healing cards. If there are offensive cards that could also heal, I think there would be a world where this goes up to C. But as it is right now, this card's so bad. It's just so useless here. Moving on, Double Cross. It's an A. I don't like Double Cross too much. It's very easy to play around it. You can just run lower mega count in your folder. And as it turns out, if you're good enough with your standard cards, what makes Double Cross good is you can use it inside of chains. Your opponent uses a mega, you respond with Double Cross resolves, it sets, it activates. That's what sets it above every other trap. The problem is just stopping megas is a little bit too narrow. Despite all this, it's still an A because the megas are sometimes, they're too good to just let happen. Gigamine, the brick, getting B tier, where you belong, because you're just I was a full-on Gigamine hater for a long time. I probably would have put it a lot lower. As of recently, I think B is like more acceptable. It's still like the worst, like viable trap. Like the biggest issue is like Gigamine makes sense because we have, because of the format, because of our wave power code. We have 4 gigas at a baseline, and then, it could show up on the roulette, maybe, so like 1 to 2 or whatever the ratio should be. But at the end of the day, it's 4 gigas out of 39 cards. Now, if there's a universe where we could reg cards, I think Gigamine would be like S or A. Always having Gigamine on the opening turn makes it so much better than the other traps. It's crazy. Like, imagine not being blown out by, like, a D-Sky or something that someone layered. Like, that's good. That's great. But as it is now, because it doesn't have the in-chain usability like Double Cross, which they added in 3, which, nice on them, except Gigas in 3 are like, if you could respond with Gigamine, I'd be okay moving it up. But as it is right now, I gave it the nickname Brick for a reason, and it tends not to disappoint and is a brick. Rest stage. High stage. They do what they say. They're dimmer. They cause the stage. They're okay. They're fine. Doesn't get any deeper than that. The biggest issue, you can respond to them. It's like, I want to set up grass stage for my big fire attack. Your opponent goes, okay, here, hold this something amount of damage. The problem is, if you're using ice or grass stage, you probably need those to resolve. And you're probably just going to have to tank whatever they're throwing at you. And that's why they're just like, okay. Holy Panel. This is the best defense in the entire game, and it's not even fucking close. Why, Zain? Why is Holy Panel the best defense? Invis wears off. Aura wears off. Also, wears off when it gets hit by one specific card. Do you know when Holy Panel wears off? It doesn't. It stays there until your opponent forcefully removes it. During that time, you can vibe on it. Your opponent now has to plan around the Holy Panel. They have to spend a trap. They have to spend hollow. They have to spend time not using their machine gun, and they have to try to charge shot you while you're standing on it. Holy Panel warps how your opponent has to play the game, even if you're not standing on it. We play with an average of 3,000 health. So Ninjas and Saurians, they got 2,800. Zerkers got 35. So it's like around 3,000. The problem is, if you have no way to remove Holy Panel, double your HP count. That's too much HP. Most folders can burn through, with good play, 4,000 health. We're including like charge shots, We're including like big bangs if we have to use them, and then a good amount of the megas, and then like half of the gigas hitting. Hitting 4,000 with a brother band build, not a rogue. Hitting 4,000 with rogue, oh boy, your opponent was just blocking with their teeth or something. But doing 4,000 damage, you know, if we would add up all the cards and interactions, whatever, doing 4,000, not that difficult. Doing 8,000, or I mean, more accurately, doing 7,000, like is what Zerga would have if they sat on a holy panel the whole game. That's just not feasible at all. Holy panel just doesn't give a shit. You have to respect it when it shows up. This is why if you're not using traps, you need to be running stages. If you're only out as getting your charge shots, then you've already failed in the construction phase. Holy panel's really good. Moving on. Paralyze plus A tier. Not every card causes paralysis. But what if they could and your opponent had no idea when it was going to happen? That's one of the things this thing can do. Set up cards into combo pieces. Like putting a P plus on Hollow, that's fucking brutal, man. That's awful. Yeah, I took 270, now I'm paralyzed over P panels. I'll go fucking die, I guess. If it's not on your roulettes as a triple, this is at least a 2 of inside of your folder. There's just no reason not to do it. If both of them ever show up, take them, burn them. Attack plus 10, because attack panel exists, attack plus 10 is stupid. King's Grandeur, this card is fucking Omega banned. This is a mega card that does not miss, does a giga amount of damage, untribes 2 of the tribes, goes through aura, then goes through invis. What the fuck is this card, man? This card's just so fucked up. If you don't have double cross, your Zerger's going bye-bye. If you're not invisible, your ninja's going bye-bye. And this card doesn't miss. This card is fucked up, and that's why it's banned. Lemu. This card's also banned. On the fucked up scale, it's not as fucked up as King's Grandeur, but it's just so stupid. So first of all, this card takes like 20 real-time seconds or some bullshit to resolve. So he starts with Carpet Unblockable on the left, Carpet Unblockable on the right, and then Invis Pierce, which hits the entire screen. Now, if you were counting, that is 600 damage in the center hit scenario. So this already does more damage than all the other I press button, it do damage gigas, but it's unblockable to start with, and then it goes through Invis. If you Invis Lemu, you take 200. If you block Lemu, you're either taking 4 or 600. If you have Aura and Invis, you're taking 200. The only way to not get hit by Lemu is to block while invisible, which is never something that you should have to think about unless you were playing against a ninja. No card should have the freedom to just say, I'm winning this neutral exchange. Just slam the button and it does the thing. If it had elements attached to it, man, this thing would be like way more banned. But King's Ranger, way more fucked up. But the damage profile of Lemu is just, it's absurd. It's so crazy. Whew! Got me heated. Speaking of heat, Leo Kingdom. Leo King, B. There's not a doubt in my mind, this card's B. Leo Kingdom does an okay amount of damage. It's the far 3x3, 12 times, it does 480 damage, does nothing else. No special effect, nothing. When used with a Saurian, however, we can start talking, but if we're going to talk about things to add to increase the ceiling, then whatever. If you are playing a Saurian, regardless of what your folder is trying to do, you slam Leo. Why? Because Leo now does 840 damage. It's too much damage to pass up for just pressing the button. Like 840 is bonkers. So that's where Leo belongs. Dragon Sky. This is the best Giga in the entire fucking game. The ones that are legal. The floor of Dragon Sky is it does 500 damage. It doesn't cause flashing. It goes through aura because it's windy. So it does 450 after cracking the aura. Basically it doesn't miss. Far 3x3, obviously. If your opponent uses a lock on, they're going to dodge D-Sky. If you're a ninja, 700. You're in King, 1200. Gemini Thunder is good because it solves problems, and it's good to prevent people from turtling. D-Sky just murders people. How about the worst mega in the entire game? Because that's what Rogue Sword is. This card is so fucking ass. You have to aim this card for 300 damage. You have to aim it. No parts of this connect if you do not aim it. and it's a sword card. 300. Why are we doing this? Why would I ever use Rogue Sword when I can use Gemini Spark, which does more damage and paralyzes? Why does this card exist? Rogue Sword is so bad. Does it look sweet? Yes, absolutely. It's fucking awesome. It's so bad, though. It's so bad. Cygnus, B. This might be a shocker. If there are no obstacles in play, Cygnus is a windy, unblockable boomerang for 300 damage. There's really no downside to this, as long as there's no obstacles. And a bunch of other cards are stopped by obstacles, and they're still here or higher. Cygnus is solid, at least for the SP, because like 300 unblockable that you don't have to aim, that's really good. It's just good, man. Libra, A. Hits twice, breaks aura, can untribe Saurian and Ninja. Pretty much was never used back in 2008. As time went on, people found out that having the ability to just untribe that didn't miss was good. So Libra may not progress your game state like whatsoever, but they will stop your opponent from hitting King if you think that's what's up. And it has an application in freeze folders since the second hit is water. So you can go 150 break aura, second hit freeze. So Libra, very good in A. Depending on your needs, your preferences, it could also be S tier. It is that good. Wolf Woods, this card sucks. It's better than Rogue Sword. It's not a high bar, but it is, because he just dashes to the other side of the screen, uses a wide sword, then he uses a sword. So if you use him in the center, you know, you're going to get one hit at least. Crown Thunder. Also one of the worst megas in the game, because it only has one attack range. It's an X on your opponent's board. So if they're in the middle, it will never hit. If they're on the sides, which, you know, ideally they should be, most of the time, because it's the safest spot, they'll take a crap ton of damage, because that's what Crown does. Pegasus Magic Mega Series. A. And we'll also mention, this is another Mega where you can use the previous versions and it's going to perform very well as well. The SP, notably, does over 200, breaks Holy Aura, love to see it. Pegasus Magic does not miss. It attacks the entire field with one ice missile apiece. This is very good. Does enough damage to break starting cubes, so if you want that shit out of your way, it's got you on that. The freeze duration is the exact same for every card that can freeze. So Avalanche, Pegasus Magic GX, Pegasus Magic Series Normal, EX, and SP, same duration. So if you're looking for something to lead into breaking cards for double damage, this is your mega card for that. Very good. More often than not, Peggy SP, that's in every folder, just because, you know, does 200 plus, your opponent can't move. You only get one copy of it, you got 7 mega slots, you don't have that much to lose. Don't use this in Saurian folder, because if you get double cross in Pegasus, you look stupid. Leo Kingdom, B. B? B? A? B? A? B? A? B? A? B? A? A. Only talking about the SP for this, it does 400 damage, and it just hits Life Sword on your opponent's area. So it's a fire card that doesn't miss, that does 400. First of all, that's a fuck ton of damage. 2, in Grass Burn, 800 damage. We're gonna go to the next one, D-Sky. So D-Sky is like if Leo was worse. Dragon SP is not anywhere near the level of his GX equivalent. He just says, I spit flowers, they do 300 damage. Plasma Spread. So the problem with all blue cards, which this is an all-encompassing downside that all of these have, there is only one copy in your folder. It does not matter. One copy. You have to roulette if you want more of these. And some of these cards, it ain't worth doing that. So Plasma Spread, as it should be quite obvious, it is another version of Plasma Gun. So Plasma Gun 3 creates an X burst when it hits. Plasma Spread is a 3x3, so it hits more stuff. So you can hit a rock and it hits the person behind it. It lasts, I believe, 10 frames longer for the paralysis duration than Plasma Gun 3. The problem, you only have one of these. You can't string them together. Yeah, that's bad. Sync, it does the same thing but better, so it's still bad. This missile hits elemental opponents, or vice versa. I don't remember. The card is so bad that I just don't even bother remembering. Destroy Upper, that's my dog. This is one of the best blue cards in the game. What does Destroy Upper do? This removes float shoes, super armor, undershirt, if it makes contact. And I'm putting this contact in quotes because contact includes anti-damage, box fu, aura, raw hit, or on shield, which, by the way, it is unblockable. If it connects, your opponent loses all those abilities. Obviously, if they double Trident the Saurian, they go into Tribe King, they'll get back super armor, but otherwise, the abilities are gone, they can't get them back. No undershirt is sometimes useful. It means you don't have to go for the multi-hits or your machine gun, which is probably, good. But for the most part, Destroy Upper is going to go into every ninja folder because every good ninja folder is on Squall. And when your opponent doesn't have armor, you don't need paralyzed support for Squall. Your opponent's paralyzed to get the first hit of Squall, and then they're just stuck in the tornado because the rest of the hits will stun them. Dupper's really good. Honestly, you could put it anywhere because it's a somewhat fast lock-on break attack. So it has use cases pretty much everywhere, but Ninja gets the most mileage out of it. Elect Grenade. That's a B card. This is the only non-dimming source of I want parapanels and I want them now. This is the only way to do it for some reason. Otherwise, you have to use your charge shot. And it's not even guaranteed. So, Elect Grenade, good job. You did it. Sonic Sword, B. This is the strongest card for rogues, but even if you're not rogue, it's good. So, it looks like a wide sword. It plays like a wide sword until you hit somebody with it. And then you see, why did it do so much damage? Sonic Sword is 3 hits in one swing. So it does 240, and it's windy. So when a rogue uses Sonic Sword, it's one wide sword for 390 damage. If you could have dupes of Sonic Sword, I think rogue would be a little bit more than dog shit. It would be okay. Because 390 is insane. You win one exchange, 390 damage. Nice over loser. But as a one-of, it's not bad. You can use it as ninja. It's not bad. It's okay. Oh, Wood Axe. This card sucks. It does more damage than Great Axe. It loses unblockable. I don't have to say any more than that. The card is that bad. Yeah. Meteors. These cards... Oh, God. Do I put it down there? It's almost disrespectful. It's only in singles. So Star Force 1 had the Ice Meteor series, which attacked the nearest opponent with a wide attack of ice, like ice panel, ice panel, ice panel in a row. This has returned, unfortunately, as one-ofs and with variants. So the original Ice Meteor, hit, 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 ice, ice, ice. Then there's a wood one, wood, 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 but we have Wood Grenade, so I don't know what we're doing here. And then Sever Meteor, which is G-Null without, dimming the screen. Which is, quote unquote, okay, but if you care enough about G-Null, the charge modification is 100%. This card just loses all of its play from a Buster modification, which is insane. The other part is the meteors have a casting delay. So you press it, you can't do anything for the next second or two. So the next card in your hand, doesn't matter, you have to wait. So because of that, it's like delay and they're one-ofs, they just go in D. They lose all their playability at that point. Time Bomb, this card's Cheeks. Why is Time Bomb Cheeks? Well, if the really good one is Cheeks, then what's the one that I have to wait just as long, but it's easier to destroy and does less damage? The math is pretty simple. Pulse Noise. So they brought back Ghost Noise from Star Force 1. They took the worst version, which is HP Bug, not even the paralyzing one, and then they made it Singleton. Yeah, it's the fastest lock-on attack in the entire game, but you only have one, and it causes HP bug instead of paralyze. What? They could have at least put all the effects together, and then it like would have maybe been in C. But that's where we are. This card's bad. Warrior Soul. If we weren't rocking 5/5/5 Buster and armor at all times, this card might actually be good. You can argue it for Rogue because Zerker and Ninja Rogue don't have access to armor because they're the wave code that enables it don't give it to them. Otherwise, there's no reason to use this card unless you just want to feel pain and bleed out on the floor for no reason. Murmasa. Everybody knows what this card does. It's stronger than more damage you've taken, up to 500. And you clock people for 500. At the end of the day, it's a longsword that does 500. The problem is, and everybody knows it, if you open with this, I'm sorry. XD Meteor. Say hello to not the best, but the strongest standard card in the game. Potentially. The ceiling is crazy. At a baseline, it throws 21 meteors at your opponent's owned area. So if there's no area eaten, it hits them 3 times. If you eat their area, it hits them 4 times. If you area eat them twice, it hits them 7 times. This card is unblockable, so that's great. What keeps this card pinned down is Singleton. There's only one. You got a roulette, and it's 90 base, so you have to boost it. But if you're playing Saurian, it's going to do that much on its own. Then it goes through Aura, and you can't block it. XD Meteor is fantastic. Even if you don't have a plan, you could just put this in your folder. It's good enough. Poison Stage. At stages go and see. Poison Stage turns every single panel into a poison panel. This is really good. This is awesome because of Poison Storm. That's a lot of fucking damage, man. That's just a lot of damage. And it's still a white card. No opportunity cost. You only have one, so, be careful. Fire 30. C. Aqua 30. C. Wood 30. Also C. Not D. No, it's not bad. Aqua 30, Fire 30, Wood 30. These just, you know what they do. If you play Battle Network, you put them at the end of a card. The card does more damage. These just let you do more damage via less interaction. Unless we're talking in the realm of Fire 30 and Aqua 30, which is to make cards into different beasts. So I will go rewind all the way back to the start, talking about the ceiling versus floor with Avalanche and Pegasus. If you have Aqua 30, in your folder, because it was built this way, Avalanche is fucking terrifying. A 100 damage Avalanche is not a joke. Fire 30, it's just whatever. It exists to be... Oh, Aqua 30, you can put it on Sticky Raid also. That's a good outlet. It's like 6 heads of water. Fire 30, it exists so Leo with Saurian can get through Aura. You need all of that so Leo doesn't suck. But then Leo does like 1200 damage. So, I don't know. Fire 30 is just like, okay. Wood 30 is definitely the worst of the bunch. Just... It functions. It's fine. If you want to win through less interactions, look at these. Elect 30, however, kaboom. It's up there. Now, why would I put this up there? Wall breaks. This is important. Elect gains the most out of just a little bit more. Flicker Kick, 100 damage. Voltic Eye, 100 damage. Gemini Spark, 200 damage. It's very important. Elect just makes these cards... It does more than the other pluses do. Not more damage, just, it lets them do more stuff. Lets them be applied more. And the final stretch, it's the dogs. They're all fucking bad, because they're just bad. Yeah, one of them stops your opponent from moving. One of them confuses, and one of them grants you invulnerability. When the dog is singing. The problem is, they have such low HP that you can just buster them to death. So there's no reason for you to ever put them on the board. You could have just done something else. Like, a center double stone probably is safer than you playing Immortality Dog. In all fairness. Alright? In all fairness. Oh my god. If you actually sat through and watched all this, thanks or I'm sorry. Um, yeah. If there's any questions about anything, uh, just message me, I guess. All right. Good night.